The story is brought to you by the sfchronicle.com out of San Francisco. And you know how people say, you feel safe when the cops are around. They make you feel safe. They're here to protect and serve. Well, in some cases, maybe, but this victim found out different. San Francisco police, who responded to a reported assault by a knife-wielding man, shot both the alleged assailant as well as the victim, who was unarmed, according to two law enforcement sources familiar with the investigation.
All officers were equipped with body-worn cameras. And as always, if anyone does have a surveillance camera in the area that may have captured the incident, we do ask that they contact the police department because that footage can be instrumental in helping us to identify what happened both before and after officers arrived on scene.
Now, both men died following the incident in San Francisco's Dogpatch neighborhood last week, but it's not clear whether the alleged victim died from a gunshot wound. The alleged assailant was definitively killed by police gunfire, the sources said. So what either he stabbed the victim as he was getting shot, or the victim got shot. Both of them were dead. The California DOJ, Department of Justice, announced Monday it will serve as the lead investigating agency in this shooting. Now, while state officials declined to release additional information about the case, their presence alone implies that at least one of the men who died was possibly killed by police, and possibly unarmed, because the DOJ is involved. I don't know about unarmed, but if he had a knife, he had a knife. But because the DOJ is involved, it's definitely an officer-involved shooting. Now, a new state law, which began last year, requires that Attorney General's office investigate all incidents of fatal police shootings involving an unarmed civilian, talking about the victim. State officials said that with uncertainty regarding the shooting, they were treating it as an incident that qualified for their investigations. Now, a DOJ spokesperson in an email to the SF Chronicle highlighted a portion of their policy that states, DOJ may elect to assume jurisdiction in cases where jurisdiction is unclear or based on other extenuating circumstances as determined by the Attorney General. San Francisco police last week said 2 men had died following an incident in which at least one officer had fired a weapon but declined to clarify whether they were killed by police. Cop fires his gun, somebody's dead. Come on, 2 plus 2 is 4. Of course, the SFPD is not responding for comment. Now, the San Francisco Medical Examiner's Office identified the men as Michael McFeehonigan. I said your name wrong. I'm sorry. McFeehongan. I don't know. And Rafael Mendoza from unknown residences. But just before 8 p.m., officers responded to the area of Mariposa and Owen Street on report of assault in progress. Police officials last week said the police shooting occurred during that incident, but declined to give further details because it's an ongoing investigation. Preliminary information from the medical examiner's office shows both stab wounds and 1 bullet wound from police gunfire on the alleged victim. So the guy was actually the victim. The guy that needed help had stab wounds and 1 bullet wound from a police firearm. So you think the cops killed him? No, he died. He bled to death from the stab wounds. The cop didn't. It was a stray bullet.
Police are still investigating how this all played out and how many officers fired shots last night. Officers were originally called to Mariposa and Owen Streets for an aggravated assault in progress just before 8 last night. There were 2 men there, and we know at least 1 officer fired their weapon. One of the men was pronounced dead at the scene, and the other died at the hospital. But it's still unclear what each of these men died from, whether it's related to the initial assault call or the police shooting.
Well, maybe he did die from the stab wounds, but he had a bullet wound from gunfire from police, and he was the Vic, not the sus. Assembly Bill 1506, which was signed by Governor Newsom and dictates which police shootings will be investigated by the state of California, is meant to add a layer of impartiality when investigating the most controversial cases involving police force. That's about every case in big cities. While criminal charging decisions are typically handled by local prosecutors, the law was created to avoid the optics of bias, as county prosecutors regularly work with police departments on a day-to-day basis. That's right. Prosecutors are part of that blue line. Did you not know that? Attorney General Rob Bonta's office is also investigating a fatal San Francisco police shooting from January. In that shooting, police opened fire on a man they believed was wielding a firearm, but he was carrying a toy gun. Well, I'm here to tell you, sometimes those toy guns look like real guns. Now, San Francisco police said they will hold a public town hall within 10 days of the incident, so sometime this week or next, in accordance with the department's policy for police shootings. So there you go. There's one where the victim thought, oh, the cops are here. Oh,